I've spent the last 10 years working an office job in one of the most popular holiday destinations in the world, Blackpool. Let's try that again. Thailand. Now, if your imagination is running away with you at what working in Thailand must be like, then yes, trust your instincts, because working here has literally paved the way for every moment outside of work in the last 10 years spent eating, drinking, and partying in comfortable, beautiful weather by the beach. Secure visa and good income are just added perks of the job. And the craziest part of all this is you might be qualified to live this lifestyle too, and you probably don't even know it. So if the idea of living in Thailand while doing one of the most secure, high-paying, and consistent jobs here sounds appealing, stick with me, because I am about to take you on a deep dive at what it's like working a white-collar job at a factory in the land of smiles. Wait, back up a bit. Did I just say a factory job in Thailand? Okay, that's better. Surprisingly comfortable too. But firstly, let's talk about why working an office job in Thailand could be perfect for you. According to most YouTubers, relocating to Asia is definitely not about working here. It's about letting go of the rat race, escaping the West, and discovering your true self via the serenity and wonder on offer in Southeast Asia. Sounds absolutely splendid, doesn't it? Too bad it's mostly a curated sales pitch. There's a reason they all have Patreons, courses, and links for donations. Now, the point of this isn't to say that one lifestyle is better than the other. After all, working only 10 hours a week or so sounds much better than 40. But I've never heard a voice in Thailand for people who may be thinking, look, I'm okay with working. I just want the lifestyle I was promised a uni degree and hard work would actually give me. And besides, not everybody wants to be the next Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, or Mark Zuckerberg. Yeah, at the same point, it ain't particularly easy succeeding via a typical 9-to-5 nowadays in the West either. Inflation, cost of living, job security, and property prices have gone crazy over the last decade. And COVID only hit these rising stats like a shot of nitrous, spiraling things completely out of control for a hell of a lot of people under 40. And as time passes on, statistics just keep getting worse. Prosperity, security, and happiness, they're decreasing. Rage, anger, and lies dominate every national conversation. Populism, clickbait, superficiality, crime, they all continue to jump, while IQ, life expectancy, marriage, and birth rates have fallen off a cliff, setting up a lot of countries for a future economic nightmare. So it doesn't just make sense that millennials are considering escaping a prosperity declining West and moving to Southeast Asia for a better life. A concept we would have found absolutely laughable as kids. It's actually confusing as to why relocating to Asia from the West hasn't become a much more common activity already. Asia isn't exactly frothing at the mouth to follow the same self-destructive path the West seems to be building towards either. Over 60% of the world lives here, and those 4.5 billion people, they all want the same cars, phones, and air conditioners that you have. Large Asian cities have either equal levels of infrastructure to the West or better, and society here still has a conservative leaning towards low crime, strong family values, and little time for liberal bullshit. This is obviously a tad different from the tent cities, opioid crisis, and liberal show the West is quickly dissolving into. But none of these things really matter in the end, because the main thing anyone watching this surely wants to know is if you would be better off escaping all the bullshit in the West and relocating to work here instead. And to be perfectly blunt, it's not even comparable anymore. There's so many common aspects of life here that are easy to achieve, yet already felt out of reach in Australia a decade ago. A strong marriage with inherent family values, entrepreneurship opportunities, affordable property, accessible cost of living. This is because Thailand isn't f***ing around at providing these opportunities for the average middle-class citizen nowadays. Now, despite operating practically as a military dictatorship for the last 100 years, huge amounts of foreign investment and Thai's nationalistic attitude to keep remittances in country means wealth here has exploded over the last 20 years. Money comes in, broke phalungs go home. If you're an educated person with enough smarts to utilize opportunities when available, Thailand is practically in a state of gold rush fever for generating wealth. And having a secure, high-paying job here is easily one of the quickest access points to learning how to access that wealth. Not just because of the secure visa and salary it provides, but because Thailand is still a very hierarchical country where your work and status matters in society. Doing a white-collar job means you will work with well-educated people, attend meetings with other businessmen, learn the culture directly through your coworkers, meet much higher standards of women than most foreigners would normally associate with, and gain access to rooms and venues where the wealthiest people here associate. But despite all this, if you've ever previously considered escaping the West to live or work in a foreign country, you've likely found the first 1,000 results you'll come across online will be about earning an income through things like teaching, SEO, drop shipping, influencing, or crypto. Hell, you're probably more likely to find videos on YouTube telling you how to become a YouTuber in Thailand than how to work a regular 9-to-5 job here. And why is that? Because immigrants who move to our country certainly aren't sitting on Bondi or Miami Beach with a laptop and drop shipping contact lenses to Bangladesh or Nigeria. They want the secure, high-paying office jobs too. So why do Westerners move overseas and in huge numbers reject the most stable, secure, and consistently high-paying job opportunities in a country for a very slim chance at success or prosperity as a digital nomad or influencer? Well, it's not like it's a big secret. For anyone who's worked in an office, you already know it isn't as glamorous as it once was made out to be. After all, sitting in an artificially lit room and staring at a tiny screen aren't exactly things we grew up dreaming about doing as kids. Though ironically, everyone seems okay with doing it in their own free time now. But it's not just the work environment in offices to blame for this abandonment either. For a lot of millennials, corporate work has come to symbolize the root cause of their life failures. After all, this career was supposed to provide them with a good living salary where they could get married, have kids, and buy a house. Instead, it ended up being the job that continued to somehow reduce their living standards the more they did it. So there's definitely a sense of bitterness towards the whole thing. But if you're not looking to survive based off your own entrepreneurial skills and you're simply looking to live in a beautiful country that can offer a secure job, strong marriage, kids attending private schools, multiple annual holidays in a tropical paradise, and property ownership, then doing it here isn't just a pipe dream. This is standard middle-class fare in 2024 Thailand. Not an eradicated dream that died in the 1980s. But not only is there a distinct lack of information about this work, there's also plenty of lies and misinformation out there by people who have never done this work either, spreading a lot of confusion or assumptions about you and what you can do here. So finally, how about I start discussing the specifics as to what participating in the rat race in Thailand could actually mean for you. Now, one of the first pieces of information you'll come across if looking for work in Thailand is that the Thai law is very restrictive with work regulations for foreigners. It's not exactly an exaggeration either. Look, you're never going to be able to legally move to Thailand and become a plumber, a shop assistant, a mechanic, or a makeup artist. This is because laws are there to protect Thais from foreigners taking jobs that they can do themselves. Though in some cases they make exceptions because even the Thais don't want to do the jobs themselves. It's why Cambodians and Burmese do all the road work and construction here. Now, this is also why teaching English is one of the most common jobs available for foreigners in Thailand, because most Thais can't teach English. And if they do, it isn't always a good thing either.
Warmly welcome to English class.
But due to a huge manufacturing base here, Thailand is filled with thousands of multinational companies where you will find foreign-owned factories for things like cars, electronics, large machinery, and all other manner of items in the kingdom's industrial areas. There's a hell of a lot of space tech companies for some reason too. And because these large factories are foreign run, 9 times out of 10, the staff sent over to work here will communicate with the local staff in the international language of business, English. But if the company cannot find Thai staff who are skilled in both the job's requirement and English, they can branch out and look for foreigners to fill those roles instead. So in practice, the law is you can hire a foreigner if you can't find a suitable Thai. And for tourists who have only ever visited places like Phuket or Bangkok, you may assume that the level of English in Thailand is good enough to never have that issue. But the instant you step outside the tourist hubs, English skill levels drop dramatically. Because the reality is that most Thais who live outside the Bangkoks, Pattayas or Chiang Mai's of Thailand, they can't communicate in English at a satisfactory level, let alone in the fluency required for important business activities. Now, this isn't just my opinion either. The education results of Thailand speak for themselves. A quick scan for professional roles online will give you an idea of how many jobs in Thailand require fluency in English. But it can be really difficult to find the skill set in the regional areas a lot of these companies are based at. And it's not always because Thais can't speak English either. Because even if they can speak English, they often won't use those skills in front of their friends and peers in the workplace for fear of being made fun of or teased behind their back. Now, this is actually a huge cultural issue in Thailand that no one seems to want to address in any constructive manner. On the plus side, this cultural conflict in Thailand is potentially a life changer for you. Are you fluent in English and skilled in work associated with manufacturing, engineering, supply chain, logistics, production, procurement, accounting, IT, S&OP, QC, R&D? If you are, then you are perfectly qualified to work in Thailand for a multinational company right now. You don't need a visa, you don't need a permit or anything to apply for jobs here. You can apply in your own country or here. I'll go into more detail about that later. For now, let's talk about the actual work. It's the cultural differences between working in Thailand and the West that will be noticeable, and they're more so going to be specific to your company's origin country. For example, with my company being Japanese, we all literally jump up and complete a quick calisthenics session each morning right in front of our desks. There's the incredibly comfortable full-length factory uniforms for all staff, bicycles to ride around the site on, armbands and train driver style hats for production workers, beautiful Zen gardens everywhere, and even an enormous dojo all new staff spend weeks studying in first before joining their departments. I also can't forget the cute little robots running around the factory that play MIDI music from 80s movies like Indiana Jones and E.T. either. The Japanese have the best taste in movies. But then there's aspects that are pretty common for most factories here, no matter their origin. For example, most companies have free transport that shuttles staff to and from work via company designated routes each day. Now, management often have their own cars that pick them up from their front door each morning and take them directly to and from the factory. And after living in Sydney my entire life with its terrible transport system, I can't tell you how awesome it is to step out the door each day and not have to worry about the daily commute. At the same point, my driver is Thai, so he's a lunatic. Lunches are often free in factories and consist of rotations of popular Thai meals or food that is considered foreigner friendly. So each day you can choose between things like som tums, curries, Taiwanese rice, fried chicken, fried rice, or even vegetarian meals due to how popular it is to be a vegetarian here. Then nearly everything is spicy, so if you're not a fan of spicy food, you're gonna go through a crash course in building your immunity to chili. Companies as big as ours often have outside businesses operating inside them too. For example, we have our own 7-Eleven inside the grounds, but we also have businesses that sell a huge range of smoothies, desserts, and coffees alongside the cafeteria for less than $1 each. Annual leave is mostly consistent and places usually offer somewhere between 2 to 4 weeks, plus the 10 or so public holidays per year. And it's also pretty common for the company to provide you with insurance or healthcare as well. For example, my company provides all staff and their family members with 35,000 baht a year for medical coverage, which will amount to around about 6 to 10 visits to a private hospital annually. We also get 30 sick days a year and a few days off for weddings, births, and funerals. For women, companies provide 3 months paid leave for pregnancy, and they're often okay with the mother taking another 3 months unpaid leave too. Facilities at work are also quite good, and while it's not exactly Google or Facebook, my company still has a full-size football field, multiple basketball courts, 3 gyms, and a 3,000-seat cafeteria. We even have a music studio with all instruments and equipment required to jam and record during any break you have. Now, if you're wondering why poor third world Southeast Asia can have so many benefits for employees, it is A, because you're living in a 1980s view of the world, and B, due to the strong unions here. It can be pretty crazy to speak to Americans and tell them you're working in Thailand only to find out that your company benefits sound like a fantasy to them. But unions here don't mess around, and they fight every year for all the benefits, salary increases, and bonuses that match the needs of their staff. And the bonuses at multinational companies in Thailand, they can be incredible. In the last 10 years, the average bonus at my company has been 7.5 months of the annual salary. If you talk to any Thai doing this type of work, there is a huge emphasis on this annual bonus. So Thai people actively seek out the companies offering these high bonuses to work for. Now there's also annual company trips, family day events, enormous New Year's parties, and generally a lot of dinners and events taking place in these companies throughout the year, especially in a social country like Thailand too. Okay, but apart from all the benefits of working here, what about the unique cultural aspects of working an office job in Thailand? The most prominent thing that I can think of is that if you're a left-leaning liberal, I wouldn't even consider coming here and dealing with the different attitudes towards sexism and racism in Asia. It definitely feels as though this place is what I could only imagine a 1980s office function like. Tattoos are covered, people don't have piercings, flirting in the office is common, people try to look their best always. There's hierarchy and tradition behind everything. Oh, and good luck suing the company if you feel oppressed or discriminated against here. It doesn't mean the company operates under draconian laws, it's more common standards and decency. If you want to act like an entitled prick, they're just not going to put up with you here. This is Asia, and culturally they want you to fit in, not celebrate you as a unique individual to be catered and tailored for. Thais will mostly watch Korean series, they'll listen to local Western or K-pop, they'll watch Hollywood blockbusters or Thai horror movies, and they rarely give a toss about sport beyond football. So joining my staff at the water cooler for some banter about, say, like the NBA, Palestine, or what crazy shit Kanye West has said this week, doesn't work out well when they have no idea about any of it. Thai women's discussions usually stick to the same subjects repetitively around here: food, staff gossip, social media, and babies. Realistically, besides missing family and friends back home, this is easily the biggest sacrifice I've made in choosing to work in Thailand. Oh yeah, there are definitely benefits to moving and working here, but you'd be crazy to think you don't give up anything in doing so. There's in-jokes I'll never understand, there's cultural attitudes I'll never relate to, and there's beliefs here that conflict directly with the types of thoughts and creeds we've been raised on in the West. And I'm not talking about religion or anything like that, I'm talking more about societal hierarchy and roles, enthusiasm for creativity, freedom of thought and expression, and accountability. These things are highly different here to in the West, and working in an environment with such huge differences in values, yet being completely on your own with those values, can be a major head fuck. After having stayed in Thailand for 10 years, I've been asked a lot of consistent questions from foreigners I've met about this type of work in Thailand. So to hopefully save some people the time and effort of writing them in the comments section, I'll go through the most common questions I've been asked over the last decade. No, you don't need to speak Thai to do office work here. As I mentioned at the start of the video, that's half of the selling point for your work permit with most companies. While a uni degree at minimum is necessary, there are three major factors that contribute to getting a job here: experience, timing, and luck. You can be a stable, well-educated candidate who is perfect for a role, but if the role isn't hiring at the time you apply, it's just not going to matter. You really need to get all three factors to align at the same time to get a job here. And the only way to increase the likelihood of these factors occurring is by spending as much time in country as you can. So on that note, unless you are incredibly specialized in a unique field, then yes. Because no company here is going to risk hiring someone who lives outside of Thailand and putting up all the investment for them to cancel at the last minute. And that is why you need to make sure you give yourself as much time in country if you come on a job search here. Prepare before you come. Make a resume in Thai format. Now that means it's generally one page, it includes a photo of yourself, basic personal details, and summaries of your work experience and skills. And make around 100 packages that consists of 3 pages: your resume, your degree, and your uni grades. These packages are going to be for dropping off at companies you should visit directly and hand over to. This still goes on in Thailand, and it's a great way to utilize a benefit that you still have as a Westerner remaining here: your foreign uniqueness. For a lot of companies here, it will still surprise the out of them to have a Falang walk in the door, handing over a resume and saying that they want to work here. Also, during your stay, organize modest accommodation in Bangkok that can give you ease of access to both public transport and the Eastern Economic Corridor in quick time. Don't come here to job search and stay on an island or in far-off places like Phuket and Chiang Mai, as there's no big industry in those areas. Also, make sure to bring a well-fitted suit or get one made here immediately. And just before you leave, start setting up contacts with recruitment agencies in Bangkok that are advertising jobs in your industry on jobsdb.com. How long's a piece of string? As I mentioned earlier, 3 factors need to align to get a good job in Thailand. And those things could happen your first day here or never. It's impossible to predict. I would recommend at least 3 months, but if you can find a period in your life where you can cover a 6-month job search in Thailand, that's going to be your best strategy. Yeah, of course. As long as you stay in Bangkok during weekdays and only visit other areas of Thailand on weekends, it's sweet. Companies and agencies won't be contacting you on the weekends, so you should definitely use it to enjoy your time here. Absolutely everything can come up at any given moment, but due to the amount of manufacturing and automotive companies in Thailand, the vast majority of opportunities lie in professional jobs like engineering, supply chain, logistics, procurement, IT, and accounting work. This is another how long is a piece of string question. The only guarantee is the minimum salary that you have to be paid is 60,000 baht a month for Canadians and Americans, and 50,000 baht a month for Europeans, Brits, and Aussies. But consider this like an entry-level salary for foreigners who just graduated. If you have 5+ years of experience in your field, you can be earning anywhere from 80 to 300,000 baht a month. And unlike in most countries, salary is always discussed on a per month basis, not an annual basis. This one is difficult to answer because every time my salary has been discussed, it's always post-tax. I've never been fussed enough to investigate what the tax rate here is. The only real difference I've noticed with tax is that they seem to take out a small amount every month, and then in December, they take a huge amount out. My wife's also an accountant, so she does my taxes for me. This kind of helps me in assuming I'm not getting screwed over, as otherwise she would chuck a hissy fit about any lost money. Oh, yes. The main thing businesses want are technical and language skills that suit their business model. For example, there's plenty of Chinese manufacturing companies opening over here. If you can speak Mandarin and have office expertise, you can probably get a job there immediately. But English is still the international language of business, and most companies try to use it. But yes, it doesn't matter where you come from, it's about what you bring to the company. There are a couple of things. You can pay local prices at parks. You can open a Thai bank account and get a driver's license without any hassle either. You can also apply to get a credit card, bank loan, and mortgage. And combine white-collar work with this visa, and you're at the top of the list if you want to apply to become a permanent resident after 5 years here. Yes, if you're qualified in the type of work available here and you are going to be able to get time to come over here for a job search, immediately begin taking private Thai classes for at least 3 hours a week right now. Also, get a haircut, lose weight, update your wardrobe. Aesthetics matter in Asia. I cannot emphasize how differently a job interview will turn out for a fat, unkempt, tatty person who can't even speak a word of Thai and a sharp-looking, healthy person who can communicate basic Thai. It's literally night and day. I've interviewed at least 100 people in my time here now, and in most job interviews, Thai staff are not interested in your skills if you get called in. They're interested in how you will both integrate into and benefit the company. A fresh, refined look with a sprinkling of Thai language could very well be the difference between getting a job here or not. All right, if you made it this far, thanks for watching. I'm Logan in Thailand, and good luck with your journey.